Okay, this week you're just going to do an assignment that kind of recaps what you should know about rational expressions and equations. So the first 5, you're simplifying rational expressions. So example 1, and I'm going to rip off a few pieces of scratch paper so I can factor off on those sides. Okay, so example 1, I just have a simple fraction. I have x to the power of 2 minus 8x plus 15 in the numerator. Then in the denominator, I have x to the power of 2 minus 25. Okay, what you want to look at when you're doing this is the 1, 2, 3. Okay, so step 1, what you need to look at is you just have one fraction. This expression on top has minus and plus, so you want to put it in parentheses. And you have minus right there, so you want to put that in parentheses. Now, you want to see if those can factor. So you have x to the second power minus 8x plus 15. Okay, that's 3 terms, so that would be looking for the GCF. If there you can find one, you can, it's 1, and then you go to your table. So I go ABC, 1 times positive 15 is positive 15, so we're thinking negative, negative, which we should be because it has to add to negative 8. And eventually if you divide 15 by 3, you get 5. So there you go. Now your A is a 1, so you can just drop the 1 from the expression and write 2 parentheses with x minus 3 times x minus 5. Okay, so I've taken that and rewritten it. X minus 3, x minus 5. Now x to the second power minus 25, that's 2 terms, so GCF DOPS. Okay, GCF is 1, so you wouldn't do anything there. Now with the dots, get that 1 out of there. Drop the 1 if you have a 1 there. And it's x times x. We have our minus and 5 times 5, so we can rewrite that as x plus 5 times x minus 5. Okay, so I come over here. I've got x minus 3 times x minus 5, and then I've got x plus 5 times x minus 5. Now you want to cross out parentheses that are the same, okay, which would be the x minus 5s. So these 2 parentheses are going to be in the final answer. And you really don't have anything outside of any parentheses, so that you don't have to worry about that. So that's what you have. You have x minus 3 over x plus 5. Okay, example 2. We have 3x to the power 2 minus 10x minus 8 over x to the second minus 4x times x over 3x to the second plus 8x plus 4. Okay, so again, the multiplication is the same idea as what we did up there. We just have more expressions. So that's the 1, the 2, and the 3. Okay, so we'll need a parentheses over there and here. Not here, so if I'm not going to put a parentheses here, I'm just going to bring that over. Okay, that x right there. But the other 3 expressions, I need to see if I can put them into factored form. Okay, 3x to the second minus 10x minus 8, so that's 3 terms, so that would be GCF and table. So the GCF is 1, so we wouldn't do anything. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So it's a positive times a negative. Again, you always take A times C. And 24 divided by 1 is 24. Remember, these have to add to get to negative 10. Nope. 24 divided by 2 is 12, and right there, positive 2, negative 12 makes negative 10. Now my A is equal to 3, so I cannot drop the coefficient. I need 4 parentheses. Start with your 3 in both of them, and then go x plus 2, x minus 12. Now 3x plus 2 would stay the same. Okay, so that factor, and here we would divide by 3, and that would become x minus 4. Okay, and there was no GCF that I need to worry about, so I cross that out, and I rewrite that as 3x plus 2 times x minus 4. Now let's go here. X to the power of 2 minus 4x. Now, that'd be GCF DOPS, and we actually do have a GCF here that we need to do. Okay, greatest common factor is 1, but we also need to include x with our 1 because we have an x squared and x, so I factor out a 1x. And I go divide by 1x. Now that now becomes 1, but now it's just x minus 4. X squared divided by x means it's just x. Now it's not a DOPS right there, right in there, because our x no longer has that power of 2. So, but I do need to rewrite that as 1x times 1x minus 4. Or you could just drop the 1s, just write x times x minus 4. Yeah, when you rewrite it, drop the 1s in front of the x's. Okay, then right there, you got to factor that expression. So 3x to the power of 2 plus 8x plus 4. So that's 3 terms, GCFT. GCF would be 1. 3 times 4 again is 12. It's positive 12, so negative, negative. I'm trying to add to get to positive 8. So it's positive 8, I'm going to need positive, positive. So divide by 1, I get 12. Nope. Divide by 2, you get 6 right there. And again, my A is not a 1, it's a 3. So since it's a 3, we can't just drop the 3. We need 4 parentheses. So 3, 3, x, x, plus 2, plus 6. That remains the same. You can divide those each by 3, and that would become x plus 2. Or if you want to put the 1, that's fine. So 3x plus 2 times x plus 2. Okay, now carry over those parentheses. So on top, we got these. Okay, we have that x that carried over. Then we also have on top, we have 3x plus 2 times x minus 4. Okay, and on the bottom, you got x times x minus 4 times, remember, put parentheses, 3x plus 2 times x plus 2. Okay, now cross out parentheses. We can get rid of the 3x plus 2's. We can get rid of the x minus 4's. And that leaves me with the 1 parentheses on the bottom of x plus 2. Now you have some outside factors. Okay, you have x and x. But those will just cancel. But I need something to be on top. And when I don't have anything to put on top, I put 1. Okay, 1 over x plus 2. Okay, example 3. So that's, you do the little fractions with the 1, 2, 3 and the factoring and the crossing out and all that with multiplication. Okay. Now example 3, now we don't have multiplication, we have addition. We have x to the second minus 4, and then x second minus 2x minus 8. Plus x plus 2 over x minus 4. Now addition, what you need to do is see if you have a common denominator. You don't, the bottoms are not the same, so you got to make the 2, extend the 2 fractions. Okay, now the tops you put parentheses because there's a minus and there's a plus, but don't try to factor those, okay? You need to just leave those the way they are for now. The bottoms, you need parentheses, and you need to see if those expressions on the bottom can be factored. So x to the second minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so GCF table. GCF is 1. 8 times c, it's going to be negative 8. Positive times negative, and we're adding to try to get to negative 2. Well, if I divide this by 2, I get 4, and there's negative 2. Now my a is 1, so we can drop the 1 and just write x plus 2 times x minus 4. So I just replace that with x plus 2 times x minus 4. Now how about the other one? It's 2 terms, GCF and DOPS. So the GCF would just be 1. You couldn't do an x because a 4 doesn't have an x. And it's not a DOPS because the second power is not there. So that's a prime expression. Okay? If it's prime, you just leave it the way it is. And now I go to my common denominators. Well, I got x plus 2. And I've got x minus 4. X plus 2, I have 1, 0. So the one with the 0, we need to raise that up. So x plus 2, x plus 2. X minus 4 is I already have 1 and 1, so that's good. Now, unfortunately, there's no equals in this problem, so you can't just cross out the bottoms. You need to come down here and write x plus 2, because you're not solving an equation, you're simplifying. So that this is my answer. I know what the denominator is. Okay, now, from the first fraction, I have 1x squared minus 4. Then for this, I need to do a FOIL. Okay? I take 1x times 1x, 1x times 2, 2 times 1x, and 2 times 2. So it gives me 1x squared, 2x, 2x, and 4. So it's going to be 1x squared plus 4x plus 4. Keep writing plus. There's no equals, so you just keep it as plus. And then you got your 1x squared. Or no, 1 plus 1 is 2. I'd have 2x squared for my a. Okay. Plus 4x for my b. And then negative 4 plus 4 is going to cancel that out. Okay. Now at the end, you need to see if that factors, okay? After you get all that done, you need to see if that can factor. There's 2 terms, so that would be a GCF and a DOPS, okay? So GCF would be 2x, so I factor out 2x. Again, the reason we don't have a c is because negative 4 plus 4 cancels out. So that becomes 1x plus 2, and that's not a dot. So I've got 2x times 1x plus 2. Okay, and that's the answer right there. You can't cross, if you could cross out parentheses you would, but that's a plus 2, that's a minus 2. Or wait a second, yes, oh yeah, you can get rid of these. These are the same. Okay, that's why you factor the expression at the end. You simplify by collecting like terms and see if it factors, because then I can simplify it further. So the answer is 2x over x minus 4. You can't cancel out the x's because that's not in a parentheses and that one is. So there's the answer. Okay, example 4. Same thing as the last problem. X squared plus 3x over x minus 3 plus x minus 2 over x second minus 9. So again, adding, we don't do the 3 lines off to the side. Adding, you write CD. See if the denominators match, which they don't. So we have to extend the lines. Remember, the tops, you need to put parentheses, but you don't factor the tops. Even though that has a GCF, don't factor the tops. You're wasting time. Okay. Now the bottoms, you parenthesize. That's prime because it's 2 terms. The GCF's 1 and it's not a dot, so that stays the same. That's prime. This has 2 terms and the GCF's 1, but it's a dot, so that's not prime. You can write that as a plus minus because that's x times x, 3 times 3. So x plus 3, x minus 3. See, the dots, if you have them right away, can be done quickly. So common denominator, we have x minus 3, we have x plus 3. So x minus 3, 1 to 1, that's good. X plus 3, we just have 0 to 1. So we got to put our own x plus 3 here, x plus 3 here. Okay, so my common denominator, They match. I just circle one of them and put it down there. So we got x minus 3 times x plus 3. Okay. See, if you have an equals, you can get rid of them, but we don't have an equals. Just circle one of them and put them down here, because you're not solving an equation again. You're simplifying an expression. Okay, so I'm going to have to FOIL here. I'm going to make a box off the side. I'm going to have 1x squared times 1x. Then 1x squared times 3. Then 3x times 1x. And 3x times 3. So that gives me 1x to the third, 3x to the second, another 3x to the second, and then 9x. We can combine these. That would be 6x to the second. Don't add the powers. The power stays the same. So we have 1x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x. And then here we just have 1x minus 2 because there's no multiply. So you got 1x to the third plus 6x to the second. Combine the x's, you have 10x minus 2. That's 4 terms. It will not be able to be factored when there's 4 terms. You could try the grouping, but it's not going to work. Okay, so we just put that down here, and that's our answer. Okay. Okay, example 5. This one's different than the others. It's called complex fractions. We have a fraction in the middle, but we have like little fractions within. Okay. Now, what you need to do is make this. We're going to rewrite that as a times, but we have to first make sure we get common denominators here. So I underline that. There's nothing. So if I put an x, they'd be the same, but I need an x up there. So now I can combine that into one fraction with just x on the bottom, okay? And then write 4x plus 4. Okay, now let's look at the bottom here. Okay, that has a 3, that has an x, okay? So let's put an x here. Now they both have an x, and let's put a 3 here, and then 1 times 3 would give me 3. You times those. So now you've actually divided. Sorry, I don't know why I wrote times. So I simplified that. And our common denominator on the bottom is 3x, okay? So now you got 1x plus 3 on top. Now with dividing, here's what you do. You need to rewrite it as multiplication, but now you need to flip the second one. 3x, 1x plus 3. Put your parentheses, okay? Now you're not going to be able to cancel anything because those parentheses are different. Yeah, don't worry about factoring on this. You don't have to, okay? Now these x's here can cancel. Even though that's an x, put a 3 times x, and that x cancels as well. So the bottom you have 1x plus 3. And the bottom you got to take both these times 3. So it's going to be 12x plus 12. I'm gonna go through that one again. I don't feel I explained that very well. I just have a feeling. Okay. Sometimes you just get that feeling. So again, circle the top. Circle the top. You want to first rewrite that as a simpler division problem. Okay, remember it's 4 with a blank underneath. If I put an x and an x, then they'd have the same denominator, so I can combine that into one fraction with x on the bottom. On top we'd have 4x plus 4. Put a parentheses where there's a plus. Don't put a parentheses there. Okay, then on bottom, well that has a 3, that has an x, so I'll put an x here and an x here, and a 3 here and a 3 here, but 3 times 1 is 3 then, not 31. You take 3 times 3. Now the bottoms match, so I now have just one fraction with a 3x on the bottom, on top 1x plus 3. Put a parentheses. Now rewrite that as a multiplication problem by just flipping the fraction after the division. Now I'm not going to put a parentheses here. I'm going to put a multiplication dot though. So the parentheses won't be able to cancel, but the x's can cancel. Both, if I have two outside x's not in a parentheses, they can cancel. And then it's going to be 12x plus 12, because you multiply both by 3, and then that's just 1x plus 3. Okay, example 6. Okay, now you're solving for x. 1 over x, solve the equation, means solve for x. You gotta find what x equals. Okay, so when there's two ratios, it's a proportion. You can use your A, B, C, D method. So A times B, C times D. So A is 1, B is x minus 4, C is 5, D is x. So if I distribute the 1, we're going to have 1x minus 4, and then that's 5x. So there's no x squared. It did not turn into a quadratic equation here. Okay. So if there's not a quadratic equation, just get rid of your smaller x. So negative 4 equals 4x, then divide by 4, and we get negative 1. Okay. Okay, example 7. We've got 2 over x plus 14 equals 1 over x to the second plus 2. Again, I can apply the ABCD method and solve it. So A is 2, B is 1x to the second plus 2, C is 1, and D is x plus 4. So I distribute, we're going to have 2x to the second plus 4. And on the other side, you get 1x plus 4. So now it is a quadratic equation where there are two answers. So we have A, that's a C, that's a B, that's a C. A, B's, and C's, you have to line everything to one side. So minus 1x, I don't have a B there, I'll just put it beside it. And then minus 4, okay? So that means I end up with 2x to the second minus 1x equals 0. Okay, because I have my A, my B, my C's made 0, so I got rid of that. So to factor an AB quadratic, you just need to do the GCF, and you pretty much got it. GCF would be 1x, so I factor 1x out. Okay, so that would be 2x minus 1. So 1x could equal 0, or 2x minus 1 could equal 0. So I divide by 1, I get 0. Then I add 1. 2x equals 1. Divide by 2. 0 and 1/2 would be the two answers. That's how to do it when the C drops out, just a GCF. If it's A, B, C, do the GCF table. You can't use the table, use the quadratic formula. Okay, example 8, we got 1 over x plus 1 over 4 equals 3 over x to the second. Now, I need to use my common denominator method because the ABC will not work. Now there is an equal, so once I get the denominators to match, I just drop the denominator from the problem, but they have to match first, okay? So drop your tops, you won't need any parentheses, so you just drop them. And your bottoms don't need any parentheses either, okay? So you can just drop those. You don't have to worry about factoring the bottoms. Okay, so my common denominator, I have what's called outside x, meaning it's not in parentheses. I have outside 4. And x to the second is like an outside x. You already have a category for that. Don't put outside x to the second. X to any power outside of parentheses is known as an outer x. So outside x I have 1, 0, and 2. So everything needs 2, okay? So I got 1 here. If I put a second power and just take an x up there, I'm good. This has 0, so I put x to the second, because I need 2 of them. X to the second up there. Now everything has 2 of them. Outside 4, 0, 1, 0. So the highest is 1, so I put 4. Remember, put it in front if it's out. Times 4 times 4. Now the bottoms all match and I'm good. Okay. And I can, since there's that equals allows me to cross out. I don't need to rewrite it down there. Okay, so that's going to be 4x plus 1x to the second. 4 times 3 is 12. It's a quadratic because it's second power. So that's a B, that's an A, that's a C. Get everything to one side. Just put it behind it. Your A needs to be written first, followed by your B, then your C. And you have 3 terms, so do your GCF and table. See if that works out for you. This one's going to. GCF's 1, ABC, you never take an X with it. And then 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. So it's a positive times a negative. We're adding to get to plus 4, and if you divide this by 2, you get 6. Well, that's negative 4, but if I go plus, minus, now it's positive 4. And A is 1, so we drop our 1. And I can just go x minus 2 times x plus 6. So x minus 2 could equal 0, x plus 6 could equal 0. So plus 2, that's 2 minus 6 is negative 6. 2 and negative 6. Okay, number 9. 1 over x plus x over x plus 6 equals 1. I'm going to underline the 1. So we got 3, so I can't use the ABC. I need to employ the common denominator rule and extend. So the tops don't need parentheses, so I'm just going to drop them. Bottom, that wouldn't need a parentheses, but that one would, but that one would not be factorable. That would be a prime expression because it's 2 terms. There's the GCF's 1 and it's not a DOPS, okay? But you got to include the parentheses with it. So common denominators, I have outer x. Remember, the bottoms are what you measure for your denominators. The tops don't matter. And then a parentheses of x plus 6. So, and then nothing. So outer x, I got 1, 0. That doesn't count. We don't look at the top. And we don't count that either. That's in a parentheses. So 0 and 0. So I'll put an x. I'll just raise that to the second power. Because if I put a times x, it'd just be x squared. Okay, x plus 6, 0, 1, 0. Okay, that one's good. Okay, and now with that equals, I can now eliminate the bottoms and just worry about what I need to. Okay, it's going to be 1x plus 6, and on the same side, I got plus 1x to the second over here. That's 1x to the second plus 6x. So what do we got? Well, we got B, C, A, B. So at first glance you say, okay, that's a quadratic equation. Well, it's not going to be for long because the A's match. So if the A's match, now it's a linear equation. So we got 1x plus 6 equals 6x. When it's linear, just get the x's on one side. So 6 equals 5x. Divide by 5 and 6 over 5. Or 1.2. Okay, story problems. Examples 10. So far, I've made 30 out of 40 serves in tennis. How many consecutive serves do I need to make to raise my average to 80%? So I need to find the serves. Remember, we're talking average. Average forms a proportion. Okay, the percent they want is 100%. Is 80%, and we put that over 100%. Percents can always be expressed as a ratio by putting 100 below. He's made 30 out of 40, but that's 75%. So we have to add x to the 30, and then you automatically have to add x to the 40. But now you can just use your A, B, C, D method to get your solution. Because you only have 2 ratios, one on each side. So A, you got 30 plus 1x, B, you got 100. C, you got 80, and then 40 plus 1x. So I distribute. 30 times 100 is 3,000 plus 100x. 80 times 40 is 3,200 plus 80x. Again, it's a linear equation, so you can just subtract out your smaller x. That gives us 20x plus 3,000 equals 3,200. Then I minus 3,000. Gives us 200. 20x equals 200. Divide by 20, and 200 divided by 20 is 10. That makes sense, because if I make my next 10, I'd make 40, and then I would have attempted 50. 40 out of 50 is equivalent to 80%, because times 2 would be 80 over 100. Okay, number 11. Two speed skaters travel for the same amount of time. The first speed skater travels a distance of 9 kilometers, while the second speed skater travels a distance of 8 kilometers. The first skater travels 4.38 kilometers per hour faster than the second. For how long did the skaters race? Now you're talking distance, speed, time. So you want to set up that table. You got fast and slow. Distance, speed. Speed means there'll be a per with it. And then the time. So the distances are given to us. We know the fast one went 9. The slow one went 8. The speeds are unknown, but we do know that one went 4.38 kilometers per hour faster. So the faster plus 4.38. Now that's still unknown, so I put an x plus that number, and then just a solo x there. Now time, you have to use the distance divided by speed ratio. So the distance is 9 over x plus 4.38, and then x over 8. Okay, and the times are equal, so you can line up the proportion. And it's just A, B, C, D again, okay? Okay, so A, B, you're going to have 9 times, wait a second. No, not x, it should be 8 over x. I screwed that up. 8x. Yeah, that looked like trouble. So it's 9 times x, and then 8 times x plus 4.38. So on one side we're going to have 9x, the other side we got 8x, and I got to get my calculator. Okay, 8 times 4.38 is 35.04. So subtract your 8x, so we got 1x equals 35.04. And that's that, but that's not your answer. You got to find the hours. What you just found is the speed of the slower skater, okay? So replace both those x's with 35.04. So I'm going to take 35.04 plus 4.38, so 39.42, so I'm going to take 9 divided by 39.42. Okay, there we go, and then take 8 divided by 35.04, you should get the same thing, 0.23 hours. So under about a quarter of an hour. Okay, last problem, number 12. You and your friend can mow 10 lawns in 4 hours together. You have a riding mower, so you mow twice as fast as your friend. How long would it take each of you to mow 10 lawns working separately? So you got to find two answers, hours for you and your friend. Okay, so I have those units in bold for a reason. You got X, Y, you want to put out the times, always the X, and the lawns would be the Y. So if you guys mowed 0 lawns, so you know that together you can mow 10 lawns in 4 hours. Now if you work 0 hours, you'd mow 0 lawns, so this means you set up proportions. But you got to add another ratio to that side of the proportion because you got the separate amounts and then what you can do together. Remember, you got to have hours on the bottom. So 4, 10. You can't put 10, you got to put 10 over 4, not 4 over 10. Now, separately, you'd still have to do 10 lawns, but you're trying to figure out the time it would take to do it. So one of them's x, and the other x has to be multiplied by 2. And now you do your LCD. Or your CD, I should say. So you got 10, 10, 10 on top to start with. And you don't need any parentheses. You got x, 2 times x, and 4. So for common denominators, you got outer x. You got outer 2, meaning another outer x, I already have that, and then outer 4. I'll get them to match. Outer x, 1, 1, 0. So I can just go x, x times x times x. Outer 2, 0, 1, 0. So let's times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Outer 4, 0, 0, 1. So times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Now we're good. The bottoms all have the same factors, so they can be eliminated because there's the equals. And then 4 times 10 times 2 is going to be 80. 10 times 4 is 40. And that's going to be 20 with x. So it's a linear equation. You want to combine these two. That'd be 120. And divide by 20, divide by 20, and that's 6. So 6 for that guy. This guy is 6, and then 2 times 6 would be 12.